Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever and whenever you happen to be watching. This is Risco in Osaka coming at you with a bit of a reintroduction to the Little Bite-Sized Planet series. Now, I know some of you have been following me from the before, and you kind of know how things work, but there may be new folks who are joining with this new channel. As a heads up, that's why the episode playlist starts somewhere around like episode 150 or so, is because there's a lot of stuff in the before that we're going to leave in the before, but we wanted to continue the series because we've enjoyed doing it so much. So here's a chance to talk to old viewers, but also to new viewers, and give you a chance to know who I am and what it is that I do here. And as I said, my name is Risco, and I am a 41-year-old trans woman living here in Osaka. I'm a huge old school geek, not a hardcore gamer, probably a very casual if long-term gamer. And I'm really in love with the Little Big Planet series, and got into my mind some years back in the before to do some series that would take a look at community levels. And we had a series called Roughly 50 Minutes Fresh, where we were looking at 5 levels per week, and that was an awful lot of stress on me. So kind of reduced things down to this more simple format in Little Bite-Sized Planet, where we'd take a look at one level from the community per week, without too many regulations as to what types of levels that we would be looking at. And we take a look at levels from LBP 1, LBP 2, and LBP 3. Now, the format of the show is fairly simple. We jump into the level, play it for about 3 minutes or so, depending on how long the level is, then jump into a hub like this one and do a little bit more in-depth discussion, usually somewhere between 6 minutes, sometimes even up to 10 minutes, where the level has gone right, where the level has gone poorly, how things could improve, and how things may connect to other aspects that we see within the community. Now, as a part of this outro, as a part of this outtake, I do grade the levels. And I've got 4 grades and kind of a plus grade on the side here. We've got green circles, yellow squares, orange diamonds, red triangles, and sometimes the X skull. Now, let's talk about the X skull first. I am playing these levels in Little Big Planet 3 because that's where the share feature allows me to record from. But unfortunately, that means that sometimes levels that were published in Little Big Planet 1 or Little Big Planet 2 are broken and fundamentally unable to be completed in LBP 3. And for those levels, we mark it with the skull. It doesn't mean it's necessarily a bad level, it just means it's a broken level within the framework of LBP 3. So if you have the opportunity to look at it in LBP 1 or LBP 2, that would be the better option. Now, as for the other grades, and the green circle levels to me are the highest quality, creme de la creme levels that I find within the LBP community. Levels that stand out as far as presentation, they stand out as far as gameplay, they often have an awful lot of charm, they've got a lot of replayability to them. That's an important part for me. Time is a premium for me, so any level that I feel like I'd like to go back to and spend more time with, that's a real big standout in my mind. Now, time may not be as big an issue for you, but I do rate the replayability of levels quite highly. Now, one step down are the yellow square levels, and yellow square levels aren't bad levels. Sometimes they can be quite as good as the green circle levels, but they do tend to have a few more points of failure, perhaps flaws in presentation or flaws in design, nothing really super significant. Sometimes they may just be levels that are overly complete in a sense that I don't feel that there's a lot of replay value in the level. They're good for an experience, but not something that you're going to want to go back and play again over and over again. But even still, these yellow square levels do tend to be quite high quality. Now, once we move down into the orange diamonds and we start to see more obvious issues begin to present themselves. There may be a lot of jaggedness as far as difficulty curves, for example. A presentation may not be particularly solid, may be overly basic, overly kludgy, a little bit ugly. Gameplay is often lacking, or what gameplay that is there is not particularly well implemented. And there's not a nice smooth through point for the level. A lot of times that with polish, that these levels could be brought up into yellow square territory, or some concept or some key piece could be extracted from the level and expanded on in a new level to bring it into yellow square territory. But as it is in the current form, that it tends to be really quite flawed. Now the final grade that we've got here, the red triangles, and red triangle levels, they tend to have a couple of different stripes. One common stripe of red triangle level, although thankfully one that we haven't seen very often in the Little Bite-Sized Planet series, are empty box levels. Levels that have nothing going on, that have no purpose to them, not even really in a sense of a gallery, just a flat space, an empty space. The other types of levels that I find that to me are red diamond levels, red triangle levels, excuse me, are levels where the difficulty is set so high that the average player would not be able to engage with that level, would not be able to find enjoyment in any sense with that level, and would only really find frustration. And I consider myself to be an average to below average player, so I think that my skill levels maybe map to a large number of players in the community. Now, if you're super great at platformers, you may not find the red triangle levels to be red triangle levels. You may find them to be better levels, but I feel that they're levels that most people wouldn't really be able to engage with in a meaningful or enjoyable way. Now, along with the series here, we do some streaming of Little Big Planet 3 on Twitch at Risco_Waffles. That's Risco spelled with a 5. And if you want to see an expansion on concepts that we've discussed in Little Bite-Sized Planet, you can find us there, usually on alternating Sundays at 8 p.m. J-side time. But if any of that sounds enjoyable to you, then maybe this is a place that you can find some enjoyment. If you've got levels that you'd like me to look at, I always appreciate recommendations. It's gotten harder for me because of constraints in my meat space life to do the type of searching that I would do in the past for levels and to dig up the really good stuff. So if you've got something you say, hey, Risco, I want you to take a look at this, let me know, and I would absolutely give it a gander. But that's who we are, and that's what we do, and I hope that you find something here that is enjoyable to you and that is hopefully informative to you, because this is my way to give back to the LBP community that's given me an awful lot of inspiration, to give me an outlet for creation in my life that I've, to be honest, dearly needed. But I do think that pretty much does it for us this go about. So from me, Risco, here in Osaka, to all of you out there, wherever you may happen to be, thank you, arigato, arigasamryota, sayonara, see you, and ciao.